Smarter enterprise from employee structure to client base. Our next speaker says that opportunities are huge. All you have to do is look at the cloud, go mobile, use big data, and befriend cognitive computing. I'm happy to welcome to the CeBIT Global Conferences this year the General Manager of Rational Software at Big Blue, IBM, Dr. Kristof Kloeckner. Good morning. Hey,
good morning.
To see you.
Good morning, and thanks for joining me in this session where I would like to talk about preparing your enterprises for the challenges of the next decade. Because when you look at what is happening in our industry, I think you will all notice that we are indeed moving into a new era of computing. Advances in technology and computing intelligence are fundamentally changing how we deal with information and how we turn data into actionable insights that change the competitive position of our companies. So we've moved from the tabulating era to programmable systems to cognitive systems, systems that can sift through huge amounts of data, discover patterns, and in a sense learn from these patterns and continuously evolve. Just like our enterprises need to evolve. At the same time, we are dealing with a world in which connectivity rules, from client-server, central connectivity, we've moved to the World Wide Web, and now we've moved essentially to the Internet of Things, or the conjunction of the Internet of people and services with the Internet of Things. So fundamental changes that we need to understand and adapt to gain competitive advantage. IT landscape, business landscape, societies are being changed. So the first two speakers talked about the nexus of technical influences, technical and business influences. So what we are seeing is mobile and social, in a sense representing the empowered consumer, the engagement that an enterprise needs to have with its employees, its customers or clients, and its value chain. Cloud changes fundamentally how IT-based services are being delivered everywhere in a flexible way, paid for as a utility, and everything extending from people to devices. And at the core of it all is data. And you've come to CeBIT, I believe, because you want to understand what datability actually does for you and your companies, and the way you essentially turn data into the fuel of your enterprise. So let's look at a few of the shifts and how they show themselves. So data, I'm sure you haven't heard for the first time, is becoming the world's new natural resource. But a natural resource in itself is just a starting point. You have to turn data into insights. You have to deal with volume, you have to deal with velocity, you have to deal with veracity. So huge amounts of data, the importance of speed in turning data into insights, and ultimately ensuring that you're acting on the right information. 500 million DVDs worth of data is generated daily. So how do you get the nugget of intelligence, the nugget of information out of it? 1 trillion connected objects and devices by 2015. When IBM declared that we should all be working on making the planet smarter. We were emphasizing that everything was interconnected, everything was instrumented, and ultimately, by bringing all this together and analyzing it and turning it into, as I said before, actionable insight, everything was becoming intelligent. So we are seeing this moving to the next stage. Cloud is much more than just transforming the data center or moving the data center to the web. The emergence of cloud is transforming not just IT, but business processes into digital services. 85% of new software is being built for the cloud. But also, only 25% of programmers are actually working so far on cloud. So how do you change your development processes, your software delivery processes to be ready for cloud? 25% of the world's applications will be available in the cloud by 2016. So what does that mean? That really means a different role for IT, from building everything ourselves to actually combining and composing services from many different sources. In my team, we are talking about helping our clients build a software supply chain. A software supply chain. Now, 72% of developers say cloud-based services or APIs are central to the applications they are designing. And that doesn't just mean those applications that are deployed in the cloud themselves, but almost everything is touched by something that starts in a mobile device or in the web, in the cloud. The systems of engagement are connecting to the systems of record that we also describe as the back-end systems. So what I'm seeing, for instance, in my team that builds software delivery tools, I'm seeing that the mainframe is finding a resurgence. I'm seeing more development in the back-end systems that now need to adapt to what is happening in the engagement with end users and clients. Now, engagement, connectivity, as the prior speaker said, demonstrated, actually allows you to engage in different ways with your employees, with your partners, with your clients. And the way that people are seeing engagement is fundamentally changing. It's slightly different in different geographies, but almost everywhere, individuals are willing to trade information for personal benefits, for personalized offerings, for more enablement, for more empowerment. 84% of millennials say social and user-generated content has an influence on what they buy. So we are looking towards our peers. And that happens in every environment. If you are a developer, I'm sure you've been on Stack Overflow, you've looked at GitHub, you've looked at Google Hangouts. So we are influenced by the communities in which we are in almost every context in which we live and work. And we share with communities. This is actually the new form of reuse. You share insights, you share practices, you share information so that you can focus on what is differentiating. Now, again, the topic of speed. Engagement is an opportunity, but if you don't use it, if you tarry too long, the opportunity is gone. 5 minutes is the response time users expect once they've connected via social media to a company. 5 minutes is a very short time for a business opportunity. So unless you actually can integrate all the services in a hybrid cloud environment, unless you can deliver software fast enough into such an engagement you've already lost. Now, here's one example how this is touching almost every, actually not almost, every industry. Danone produces yogurts, but Danone is using big data and analytics, cloud and social engagement to drive better outcomes, using tools to bring their own team together, connecting in real time point of sales terminals with their supply chain systems, and in the process using analytics not just to be much more precise, 98% accuracy in annual sales forecasts, but also to be much, much faster, cutting back forecasting times almost to zero. That's an agile enterprise for you, enabled by social, driven by data, enabled by the cloud. Now, are there recommendations for what you can do to stay ahead in a rapidly changing environment? Yes, obviously there are. Look at what is happening around you in your industries. Learn from other industries. Use data as the basis of competitive advantage, starting with treating data as an enterprise resource, applying more sophisticated analytics across more data sources, looking at deep patterns, but do it at speed. Develop speed of insight and speed of action as differentiators for your enterprise. And use cognitive capabilities to change the game for industries and for your professions. Now, cloud complements this. Use the cloud as a path to new business models. Integrate public and private clouds with back-end systems to create dynamic hybrid environments. What starts in a mobile device, what starts in the cloud, ends in a system of record once a business gets transacted. You have to integrate these systems in a robust fashion at speed, and you have to adapt your delivery, your software delivery processes to bridge the speeds of these systems. In a sense, what you have to do is you have to fuse systems of engagement and systems of record into systems of interaction. You have to manage your cloud environments and the relationship with your cloud service provider with the same rigor as on-premise data centers. And if you look at the importance of the data, if you look at privacy and security, it is fairly obvious that you need to develop a comprehensive approach to managing service delivery from wherever source it's delivered from. And very importantly, use cloud as a challenge to look at what is core, what is differentiating, and what are services that you can acquire from some other source. In a sense, what we are seeing here is cloud taking the concepts of service-oriented architectures to the next level. And remember, what service-oriented architectures allowed us to do is deal with the abstraction of IT services from a business perspective and decide which services we should focus on in our enterprise, and how services that we provide as a core capability in our own enterprises relate to services that are provided in our value chain. So cloud, again, is much more than just a fundamental change of IT. It opens the path to new business models for your enterprise. And finally, taking up on the theme of changing the way the world works, you have to take a systematic approach to engaging customers, partners, and employees. You have to use mobile and social to increase the speed and responsiveness. Ultimately, all our businesses are turning into gigantic feedback loops, and feedback loops that are getting ever faster. Meet customers, partners, and employees where they are. Companies bridge continents using virtual communication means and using social media. Personalize every meaningful interaction to offer more value. And very importantly, every interaction with your client, with your employee, with your partners is an opportunity to earn trust and further business. So continuously earn the right to serve your customers by providing privacy and security. Very, very important, and certainly if you are here at this conference, you will see how pervasive a concern this is. Now, all of this is enabled by software delivered at speed. And this is something that I feel very passionate about after 30 years in this industry as a software developer. Those of us that are software developers find that we are moving to the center of businesses, because software is now the source of innovation in every industry, and it's the predominant source of innovation. We believe that in industries like the auto industry, where a car is turning both into a mobile device and a moving data center, 70–80% of innovation actually happens within software in an ever faster feedback loop. Experimentation, testing, client feedback, integration between business, development, and operations enables continuous innovation. And that's where DevOps comes in. DevOps as a metaphor for continuous delivery of software-driven innovation in a continuous feedback loop. Because unless you deliver software into use, it is really not of business value. Until you get feedback very fast, you cannot improve. So we believe that every enterprise needs to adopt DevOps as an enterprise capability into bringing together culture, organization, process to continuously deliver software into practical use. And those of us that have been in the industry for a while will obviously recognize that this builds very deeply on the principles of agile and lean development, but extends it to a life cycle that starts with the user and goes through development into production in a continuous feedback loop. I believe what is happening here in the integration across the life cycle, in the collaboration between the various stakeholders, and the continuous optimization of delivery outcomes is in fact revolutionary. Accelerate software delivery, balance speed, cost, quality, and risk. There's no easy trade-off here. There is no easy trade-off. And reduce time to customer feedback. That is really what counts. Starting with planning and measuring, development and test, release and deploy, monitor and optimize. Again, a continuous feedback loop. You can use each and every one of these entry points to start your journey to DevOps. But this is a journey that you need to take. Now, let me briefly talk about some of IBM's capabilities that address data, cloud, engagement, and DevOps, or continuous delivery, to demonstrate to you that IBM is indeed all in. We are investing 1/3 of our research on data and analytics, and we've been on this journey for a long time. We've accumulated 4,000 analytics-based patents. We have 15,000 analytics consultants, including 400 PhDs in mathematics focused on big data and analytics. And we've done 40,000 client engagements to date in big data and analytics, learning from you, learning from our clients, learning from the industries, and we are bundling our capabilities. We are moving Watson into a new unit. We are spending $1 billion to create a unit around cognitive computing that builds on the big data platform that we've built over the past years. And we are optimizing for big data and analytics deep down into the software and hardware stack. So taking analytics very, very much to the core of our business. And we are reflecting by that now 61% of IT spending is in fact driven directly by the need to gain insight from data for the line of business. We are also focusing on cloud. We've acquired a large number of companies in this space, including, of course, SoftLayer, and we are investing more than $1 billion to expand SoftLayer to a global footprint. So wherever you want your data to be, we will have a data center that allows you full control over your assets, full control over the way you want to utilize cloud. We expose more than 2,000 APIs that allow you to control compute and data and network infrastructure precisely to the needs of your business. We just announced codename Bluemix, which is a DevOps-enabled cloud platform, a cloud operating environment to build, run, and manage, to compose services. Because ultimately we believe that speed of delivery rests on the ability to draw on the resources, the insights, the assets, the components that get delivered by communities and ecosystems. So that's our focus on cloud. Going from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service to more than 100 software as a service delivered solutions. 36,000 cloud experts, 1,500 cloud-based patents, 500 plus developers contributing to OpenStack. So we have a strong commitment to open source and open standards, because only an ecosystem will drive this. Now, systems of engagement, we intend to model the way. 57% of companies will devote more than 25% of IT spending on systems of engagement in 2014. A twofold increase over 2013. Now, we want to lead by example in this focus on the front office revolution. We have 300,000 IBMers collaborating in more than 2,000 internal social communities. For instance, as I'm speaking here, my team is engaged in a virtual round table, a jam on our strategy. So we use social media very deeply in how we engage ourselves. Now, finally, we are a very large software development organization, and we eat what we cook. So I myself, before I moved into the responsibility of delivering software delivery and lifecycle management, in short, DevOps tools, was one of the biggest customers of these tools as the Chief Technology Officer of IBM Software. We have now more than 60,000 IBMers utilizing DevOps capabilities. We have more than 6,000 projects in an open beta of our cloud platform. We provide capabilities for planning and measurement, development and test. We acquired a test virtualization capability about 2 years ago to allow you to speed up and simplify integration testing. We acquired a capability for release and deployment because, quite frankly, the manual processes for releasing and deploying software are not adequate to an acceleration from months to weeks to hours, sometimes even minutes. So we are all in on DevOps, meaning development and operations working together with business sponsors and quality assurance to deliver a continuous stream of innovation into production, from mobile to mainframe. Now, here's one example of a client that is bringing all of this together, and you can see the connected car example at our stand in Hall 2, and perhaps some of you have heard the presentation of Continental. Continental is working with IBM to connect the car to the cloud, to enable automated driving where cars can send, receive and act on real-time data and insights and exchange information with each other. They are also in this process reinventing the development environment to quickly incorporate latest technologies, leverage APIs and SDKs, and deliver new business value at consumer speed. Remember, the car is a connected device, and they are redefining consumer application delivery by changing the ways applications and vehicles work together. Essentially, a vehicle platform and a cloud platform communicating with each other through extremely fast, secure messaging and collecting data and analyzing them in real time. That's what's needed for the connected car. And I believe, especially in a country like Germany, what better example could there be to show how data, cloud, and engagement come together? So I want to leave you with 4 suggestions to take action now. Treat data as a critical enterprise resource. Use it as the fuel for insight, information, and transformation in your company. Use cloud not just to transform your IT operations, but to challenge and reinvent your business models. Develop a systematic approach to engagement of employees, partners, communities, value chains. And remember, all of it rests on your ability to very quickly deliver software, to experiment, to measure, to learn, to improve in a continuous loop of delivery. Develop an end-to-end DevOps strategy. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kloeckner, thank you very much. We are a little over time, but thank you very much for coming on the stage today to talk to us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to